Good evening, everyone. Today is the 11th of January. Where did the last 2 weeks go? I've been, Cindy knows how that is, that like your life gets just taken from you from COVID. It's ridiculous. Um, I'm finally functioning. I was able to take a shower and clean my room and things that I haven't been able to, not that I haven't showered, I promise I've been showering, but not this two in the same day. Like I when I shower, I usually don't have time to clean up. So usually that's pretty much I'm as for 2 weeks, I haven't done half the things I need to do for my personal life and definitely not my business. So um okay, I don't know why. uh this is not letting me share. Again, let's just see. All right, so all right, I'm just gonna go live and hopefully that's gonna work. Okay, so today I've had a lot of time to think about what this week's call was going to be about. My goal for moving forward, just so you guys know, is that we're going to have our Monday group chats are going to be more of a discussion moving forward. And what that discussion is going to be is going to be on the training that Sensi does every Tuesday. So we be like what happened today, we would be talking, or tomorrow we would be talking about next week. So the reason behind that is because I want to utilize what's already being done. And because if you're training yourself on your own time, which you should be, because your business is like an online college. Basically, you do it on your own time, you train yourself, you implement what you learn, and put it to work on your own time. And so I want this Zoom call group connection to be more of a place that we all chat about what we're learning. And it's going to encourage you, hopefully, to actually utilize those trainings. Now, I don't want to discourage you from showing up to these Monday calls if for some reason the Tuesday call you weren't able to listen to live. But I do want you to, they are recorded so you can go back in your training and actually see what and watch it after the fact. But I also want the actions that I do, I want it to be duplicatable. So there's so many people that have grown businesses and became leaders in Sensi. The biggest thing that they struggle with is, what do I train on? Because there's just so much out there, right? And a lot of leaders have told me, like, why do I think that my training is, better than the next person that they can go watch? And so in these discussions, we're going to be able to share, like, this is my experience with this situation. And you may be able to say, I've never done what this person trained on. And then maybe to discuss where your fears are, maybe, or your struggles are. So this is why I've never done this, because I'm worried about that, or I feel like I don't have the skill, or whatever. And then we can talk about it. And maybe somebody that does have experience with it, they can, shine some light, and what their beginning experience was, and then maybe afterwards. So that's starting next week. So I want to encourage you guys to figure out a time, if you can, to plug in the Tuesday calls, whether it's live. When you're on live at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, you have a chance to win prizes, which is always a nice thing. But otherwise, you can just say, okay, I mean, it could be Monday before this call, if for all I care. But committing to yourself to utilizing what's already being trained. Another part of hosting your own training for your teams is always trying to find somebody to be a guest speaker, because they only want to listen to you every now and then, right? Before they get sick of because you start to repeat yourself, right? There's things that I share that you guys have heard a million times, but the reason why I still do it is because there's somebody new, possibly, that it might be information they've never learned. But I want it to be more a discussion and a sharing opportunity, because what I've noticed from other people sharing their experiences as well as mine is that we tend to learn the most when we talk about it, when we train on what experiences we have. So each Monday is going to be more an opportunity for everybody to share live of what their experiences are. And that's going to help you learn more, as well as it's not going to be hard for you to create your own team meetings if you desire to in the future, because you can follow that same formula. So you're not sitting around saying, oh gosh, I didn't get a guest speaker and I don't know what to talk about. And, will I still have guest speakers from now every now and then? Yes, my goal is to have a guest speaker on at least once a month. And but I will ask them to discuss their point of view of that training, if that makes sense. So it's duplicatable, like I said. So as you guys grow your teams and you start to do your own Zoom connects or whatever, you don't feel like you have to figure it out, this formula out. You have a very simple strategy to follow. Okay, so today, what I wanted to talk about is something that if you've been with me for a long time, you've probably heard me talk about, but I wanted to add something to it. And I also wanted to revisit it because I want you to ask yourself, when's the last time you've actually done this strategy? And we're going to open it up for conversation after I do share what I'm going to share. And because the one thing about this specific strategy that honestly, I talk about it so much because it is the best strategy to help you get on track and moving in your goals. I had somebody talk to me recently about they feel like their Scentsy business is like they're working just endless hours and they're losing time from their family, or vice versa. If they're spending a lot of time with their family, they're not doing enough with their business. And so it brought me to mind the 4 Ds. Okay. There's also another one that I'm going to actually add to it. So it's actually 5 Ds because I was thinking about it this morning that it's actually a part of your strategy that really has, if you don't have this 5th D, it's going to be, you may struggle a little bit. Okay. So first of all, does anybody know what the 4 Ds are that are on live? Nobody. Okay, that's actually good. So I'm not like totally having you guys go, all right, Jess, let's, I'm bored. Okay, so this strategy I actually heard back in 2012. Scentsy used to have it was like a training center, but it was actually like this additional program that was on the workstation that they paid for, that gave outside trainings from other like people that had nothing to do with Scentsy. I don't know why they stopped it, but because it was amazing and it really gave me the biggest aha and answered a lot of my struggles in my first year of my business when I learned this strategy. I don't know who I learned it from because it was some random person. But so first of all, the 4 Ds I'm going to share, but I'm going to add this other one that I learned from experience, that if you don't have this, if you don't implement this first D that's not in this, you may struggle. Okay, so let's start with the 4 Ds that I learned. The first one is delegate. D for delegate. Then D for diminish. And then D for delay. Okay, so delegate is something that's very important that you have to do in your business. The first step before you can delegate is you need to know what has to happen in your business, right? What has to happen every single week, every single month, or maybe even every single day. It's really, you have to figure that out for yourself as a business. And what actions need to happen. So you can't just, you can't not have them happen, right? But they don't have to be done by you. And so some examples of things that you could delegate that don't need, Melissa specifically to be doing this action is making samples, you know, making up recruiting packets, host packets, stamp labeling all your catalogs, printing off things. So it's something that has to be done, but anybody could do it for you. It's not going to make a difference if in your success if you have somebody put a label on your catalog, right? Things that can't be delegated, I'll give you some examples, are following up with your clients. Like, they have no relationship with your son or your husband or your so you can't delegate that to somebody else. Talking to your hostesses, talking to your consultants and training your consultants, things like that. Doing your Facebook lives for your business and your team. Those aren't things you can delegate, right? Because you're the one that is leading them. You're the one that is their consultant. And like I said, you have the relationship with them. Now, if you are doing this as a partnership and your husband or spouse has the relationship, you can. I've delegated things to Mitch because they're only in my business because of him. So he's the one that has the relationship. So I could say, I need you to call them to get their order, or drop this off for me because, and that's another thing. Deliveries is definitely a personal thing. I personally think it's important for the consultant to deliver, because that's where you actually create more relationships and build it stronger, because every conversation you have, whether it's 5 minutes, it's likely you're going to learn a little bit more about them, right? And they're going to learn a little bit about you, and they're going to start feeling comfortable with you as their consultant. But after a while, if you have a client that's been your client forever, they're not deviating from you as a consultant. That's when you can start delegating, saying, hey, husband that has no relationship, or an assistant of some, kid that drives, whatever. You could do that. Right now, because there is a lot of drop off, door things, you can delegate that. You could say, I need to spend my time in my office. Running around town is not in good time management for me right now. Like, that's not money making activities. So if I'm not going to see them anyways, I can delegate that to a kid or a husband or whatever. Okay. Now, diminish is the second one. So I apologize if I put them in different orders, but let's go to diminish. Diminish is looking at, is actually, first you have to create a list of things that have to happen. So do you have a list of daily, weekly, and monthly actions that have to happen? Now, when you have that list, you can narrow it down by asking yourself, does it actually have to happen? Or am I adding things to my plate that isn't actually money-making activity? It's something that if I delete it, which is one of our next things, D's, my business is still going to be running. So because we're in the beginning of the year, we, all of us tend to make new, new, what you calls it, what is it called? Oh, resolutions or whatever. But you have to do that as well in your business, because you kind of have to sit there and say, like I talked about this last, I don't know when, last week or whatever, but what's going on that you need to continue to do, and what can you stop because it's not money making activity? Like what the question that I asked was, what are you doing that you need to stop doing, and what are you not doing that you need to start, right? So when you're doing that evaluation, you can figure out, what do I need to diminish, meaning what has to happen? What do I need to get done now? Start, stop, and continue. Love that. Yes, Cindy. So diminish is a D that you could use every day, right? So if you have a list that, okay, this needs to be done by the end of the month, that is when you can, these all kind of tying together, guys. You know that this action doesn't have to happen today, but it has to happen eventually in the month. So what you could do is the other D is delay it. Okay, you could delay that action until the third Tuesday of the month, or whatever you decide needs to happen. because you know it needs to happen then, but it doesn't have to happen now. So what has sense of urgency? For instance, yeah, today we had a launch for the sleeping stuff, whatever collection. By you working on something that has to be done at the end of the month, when you are supposed to be marketing your sleep collection, that's not good time management, right? Because um, sleep collection is only while supplies last. And they need to know about it. They need to be aware of it. And they need to know that it's only while supplies last. So if you're not marketing something that has to happen right now, and you're working on something that doesn't need to be worked on until the end of the month, you're going to find yourself, not seeing results and not seeing progress in your business. I will tell you that the majority of consultants that struggle are, they'll tell me they show up to every training, they've done, all this additional stuff, but they don't see any growth in their business because they're focusing on things that either are not money-making activities, and it's because they enjoy doing those activities. I'm not saying you have to not enjoy what you do, because a lot of it you will, but there's going to also be things that you don't like to do that actually have to happen, whether you like it or not. Okay. I'll tell you right now, I don't like having to buckle down and start calling people and asking them to host parties. I hate it, guys. I hate it. But it's something that has to happen because I won't have a business, right? A consultant without parties on their books doesn't have a business. That is a fact. You don't have a business if you don't have parties on your books, because parties equals new clients, new hostesses, and new team members. And if those things aren't happening every single month, you're not adding and growing your business in those 3 different areas, or at least 2 out of the 3, you will find yourself struggling to grow your business. Okay, so what has to be diminished today? What has to be diminished this week? And what has to be diminished by the end of the month or sometime in this month? So we have to narrow down what, so when you wake up every day and you decide to work your business, whatever time that is, what is your focus. Okay. Now deleting this one, I'm going to bring that back up, because there's a lot of things that are, and this not even necessarily in your business, that you are doing and you're spending time on, that you could be utilizing that time towards your business, and vice versa. It could be you don't have to be doing this. If you stop doing this in your business, you could be adding time with your family. So this evaluation for your year, and honestly, I encourage you to evaluate every month, because every month we all start at 0, right? We all start with nothing, we're all started back to certified, and we have to qualify for different things depending on what title you are. So what is helping you accomplish those things? And so having a daily, weekly, and monthly list of what needs to happen and be able to break them down into, actions every day and every week and every month, by saying, what do I have to delete? What can I delay? But what do I have to diminish? Like, what needs to happen today? And like I said, like last night and yesterday and today were things that you had to be marketing your sleep collection, because they won't know it's available unless you tell them, right? And then it is a time sensitive collection that while supplies last. So if you wait till tomorrow to tell them about it, it may not be around, right? So that's just one example. Let me drink something. My throat gets dry a lot lately. It's weird. All right. So delete, delay, diminish, and delegate. Now, I want to go back to delegate really fast, because this is actually one of the biggest struggles that most consultants have, is delegation. Because most people have the mindset of most people have the mindset that if you want to get it done right, I got to do it myself. Okay. A lot of it is a female characteristic that, we're moms, we're wives, and we kind of just like, oh, it won't be as fast. It'll get done faster if I just do it myself, right? But then what happens? You are doing all these things and you feel overwhelmed and you feel like nothing's actually getting done and you're kind of halfway doing what you should be doing because you're just trying to get it done. And so you're not doing it with the quality that you would like to. So one of the most important things a consultant needs to learn is to delegate. And I will tell you that successful people know how to delegate really, really well. Okay. Because their time is better being spent somewhere else that needs to be done by them when you think about it. So when you transfer your mindset to as in a business mindset, you know where your strengths are and you know where your weaknesses are. An example for me is that I am not good with administrative stuff. I do because I have to do it. Let me see what Melissa said. I was nervous about having my youngest son putting stickers on my monthly mailers, and he did it himself and showed me that I can totally delegate this to him. I thought he was going to mess it up somehow. Yeah, it's so true, you guys. I mean, I think we all kind of struggle with that. And there are certain things that you do need to do because you're going to do it better and you're going to do it because the way it's done is important for your result. So like I said, calling I actually know a consultant. She's a director in another company that she has an assistant, and the assistant does follow-ups for her team members. And I thought it was really kind of interesting to me, but it shows that it depends on the person's mindset. Because and the reason why I know this is the assistant was a team member of mine. So she was the assistant of another direct sales company director, and that's what she did, but she was a team member on my team. So I got to learn the things that she did for her director. And one of them was literally call and check in with her team members. And for me, again, this is perspective, is she actually had a stronger relationship with them than the director did. And my perspective is that they need to know who I am. They if I'm delegating this off to an assistant, to me, it makes it look like they don't have my time is too good for them, or I don't want to get to know them. Now that's my perspective though, right? That's a personal thing. So I would not delegate that to somebody, but you may, I don't know, like this lady did, and she's pretty successful. I mean, I would assume, I saw she had a very healthy size organization. But would her business be more successful if she knew her team members better? I would say it would be, but that's also, again, my perspective. So that's an example of there's certain things that you're going to say, no, this is important, and I can't delegate it, so you'll have to really know with your own confidence of where you think you can delegate and where you can't. Like Melissa said, it was hard for her, but then she tried it out, and now he basically made the cut and he was able to do it. So it's just like interviewing an assistant. You tell them what needs to happen, you see their actions are, and if you like the way they did it, you keep them on, right? You say, this is working out. That just happened with me. I had a high school student. I hired her for the last 2 or 3 months, and I had to let her go because she wasn't performing with the amount of time of the things she was doing. So I knew that I couldn't delegate certain things to her, which was an issue for me because I have to put my time in other places, if that makes sense. Okay. So another example as far as deleting, here's an example I always use. Are you taking on responsibility for other people? A lot of us have big hearts. We want to help everybody. Excuse me, but especially when you're in the building stages of your business, like the ground floor, you're trying to build a good solid foundation. You've got to kind of limit your extra time, because you are trying to build right now, right? So it's not that you guys know how important service is to me, and I think it's important to everybody. But an example is like, you have an appointment with a new team member. Okay, let's just say you're meeting them at Starbucks to get them started or do your first coaching call. Okay, but then your neighbor down the street calls you and says, "Oh, I'm stuck in traffic. Can you go pick up my dry cleaning? The dry cleaners is going to close by 6, and I really need that, whatever." But you have a brand new consultant that is expecting you to be there at 5:30, and you don't know if 6 o'clock is you're going to be done with that person, right? A new consultant means growing your business and new income and things like that. But if you cancel on something that's with your business so you can go help somebody else, is that going to be an effective way to spend your time if you do it too much? And I can't tell you how many consultants have told me that they do it on a regular basis. They put their own personal life and business off to help somebody else, which is it shows what a great heart you have. But at the same time, you have to be able to help yourself. Okay. So if you're stretching yourself too thin, you're always going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to feel like something's always struggling, right? That consultant that told me that she feels like if she puts time with her family, her business suffers. If she puts time with and that's when you're trying to balance. Balance is something you don't want to focus on, because guess what happens, guys? Something's always struggling. Okay, if you put time here, this struggles. If you put time here, this struggles. And it's very hard. I'm sorry, to actually put two at the same time. But you can when you actually focus on harmony. Okay, by how can I make things work together? All right. So how can you help somebody go get their dry cleaning by 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock and still get what you need to get done? Okay. The cool thing about your business is that it is flexible, right? So you may want to call that person and say, I'm looking forward to seeing you. I have something that just came up, and I may be about 5-10 minutes late because of this. Is that going to be an issue for you? And if they're like, yeah, I'm so sorry, but I have like very limited time to talk with you today. So I'm sorry, if you're 10 minutes late, that's 10 minutes out of the time that I can meet with you. So then you tried to serve, but it's not going to work. So that's when you can decide, okay, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I saw if I can push my appointment back, but unfortunately they can't budge. So I wish I can help, but I can't help you today. Now, you've tried to serve, you did what you can, but you also put what's most important in your life first, because you're trying to grow a business. Okay. And you're also, when you think about it, this person is your future team member. In essence, that's your future income, because what they do is helping you make money, right? If they're successful, you're successful. So if you start that relationship off by showing up 10 minutes late, that's not a very good way to start that relationship, right? So those are just some examples. Again, the biggest reason why people struggle is because they want to lead with a service heart, but they always put themselves on the back burner. When you think about it, you deserve to be happy too, right? You deserve to have results and growth and whatever, your dreams come true. But you have to put the work in. And sometimes there's going to be sacrifice. But the cool thing is once you've built your business, you guys, you have so much more flexibility. You're able to do those extra things that you used to not be able to do. Because believe me, guys, when I was building like the initial part of my business, my foundation, I wasn't able to do much other than my personal life and my business. And did it suck sometimes? I wanted to kind of do some extra things for other people or whatever. Yes, but I promise you it was worth the sacrifice, because now I have a choice and I have that flexibility to do those things. Okay, so what is the 5th D? that is actually the most important that has to happen before all of those things? Does anybody have any ideas that what it might be? No? Okay. What has to happen first before any of those things is you have to decide. You have to decide that this business is going to work for you and decide that you are going to succeed and you are going to get the results that you're looking for. They may not happen when you're looking for them to happen. They may not, it may not give you the results that you had hoped for or when you'd hoped for it. But when you make a decision that there's no option that this business is going to not work for you and you're not going to get where you want to go, there's something that happens with you psychologically. When something stops you and a bump in the road, something doesn't work out, whatever. I mean, that could be, you had a party, but they canceled on you. You had a team member and, they did nothing. You had a team member that wanted to join, but then decide not to. You had goals to sell $2,000, but you only sold 500. Those are going to happen for your entire journey, you guys. There's never going to be a point that, everything works so perfectly that you never are going to, everything I have, I sell X amount of dollars every single month. I bring, 1 to 2 people on every single month. I, book X amount of parties every single month. Those can be the goals, and you may actually succeed more so than not. But there's going to be a point in your life, in your business, that it may not work out that way. Okay. And when you've decided that business, your business, and all those tasks that need to happen are gonna happen, there's something that happens with you. You decide to look at every experience as a learning experience. Every month you're going to say, what did I do well? What could I have done better? And what did I learn from the experience that month? Drive and determination. Absolutely. That's 2 more D's. That's you could add to that, because it's definitely 2 things that need to happen in order for the rest of them in order to actually decide, right? You have to have the determination and drive to make this business work. But one thing that you also have to do, and this isn't a part of the D's, but if you're doing all those D's, you will be able to do this action. And that means honestly, no, I'm going to, again, honestly, because you're the only person that knows whether this is true or not, right? Because your sponsor, your upline aren't the boss of you. You're the boss of you. And so nobody's calling to say, what do you got on the books this month? And why, how many people do you have lined up to join? And how many sales do you have? What are your goals? Now, granted, you can request them to help you with that. But in the end, we're all doing the same thing. So you can't expect your sponsor and your upline to be on you every single day and every single week and every month, figuring out what you're not doing or doing, right? So what has to happen in your business is you have to evaluate and really ask yourself, why has this action not happened? So some of the things that have to happen every single month for all of us in order for us to have an actual business that we can rely on, right, financially, is we have to have sales. We have to, and bookings come from, sales come from bookings. So we have to have bookings. And we also have to have new people coming on to really have an income that you can rely on, right? Now, if that's not what you want and you're just kind of hey, it's great, I got a paycheck this month and I can care less if I do or don't next month, then those aren't things you need to be doing and evaluating, right? But if you are looking to rely on your Scentsy business like a business, and it treat you like a business and pay you like a business, you have to be able to be honest with yourself and say, why did I not sponsor last month? I was just talking with on our director Zoom with the directors in our organization, is that I sold $3,000 last month, but I didn't sponsor at all. The only person that could be honest of why I didn't sponsor is me. And I can honestly say I only really worked two weeks out of the month last month. And my only focus was to get my sales in so I could earn level 2 in my trip. And then and basically wrap up the rest of my month and focus on Christmas. That was where my focus was. So I have to accept that I didn't have new people coming on and that I could have been, though, right? It's not that I didn't ask anybody to join, but I didn't ask everybody. And I'm honest with myself with that. And so that could have been the difference of me having a new person joining and not, because I chose who not to ask and who to ask. And that's why you'll always struggle in sponsoring if you choose who you're going to ask and who you're not. But I'm also in the place in my business that I focus on different things than I did when I was growing my business initially, right? Still is something that has to happen, but I have that flexibility. I'm still going to make a really good paycheck if I sponsor last month or not. Does that make sense, guys? And you have that available to you as well, because I started just like all of you. If I would have looked at Becca Levi and how much she made and how big her team was and how big her frontline was and said to myself, oh, I'll never get there, then I would never be where I'm at, right? So you have to decide that no matter what, this business is going to be a business for you. Okay. And you have to know what are the things that have to happen for that to be going on. So if I excuse myself too often and say, oh, this is why I didn't sponsor last month, like I did last month, will my business continue to grow? No, right? Because I have to be bringing new people on too. I still have requirements to fulfill. And if somebody decides to not be a director anymore, I'm not going to be paid the same way. So I have to be constantly trying to find new people that want to actually make a business, and which will help me keep my business growing as well. Melissa says, I didn't earn the incentive trip because of that. I didn't do the work to earn the recruiting points. I know this is so I can't be mad about it. Yeah, and that's the thing, that you're able to accept that. And that's what I'm going to always be honest with you guys. For the last few years, that's why I didn't earn the trips the way I could have, because I wasn't intentional. Okay. My intentions was to get my emotional and mental health back to where it needed to be. And so I was still doing the basics because I already have a really strong foundation, but my focus wasn't, focusing on how many new people do I have? Where are they at with certified? Where are they at with promoting? Like I didn't do that. And that's why I didn't earn certain levels, or some years I didn't earn at all. But we're the only ones that get punished for that, right? Nobody else. Because here's the thing that we always have to remember. Somebody that really wants it is going to get it whether you help them or not. Okay. So you can't beat yourself up saying, oh, I wasn't striving to get, the incentive trip, so my team didn't promote. No, if they have all the tools they want, and if they want something, they're going to find it. If they need something, they're going to go out and find what they need, either whether it's support, training, whatever it is. And so again, there's two sides. We have to be supporting our teams because that's what we're getting paid for, right? The sponsoring bonuses. But on the other hand, if you aren't able to do that, this isn't a business that they're not going to be successful because you're not reaching out or you're not doing what you're doing. They have everything they need to do. Just like in the first couple years that I, had that really life change, there were people that promoted and they weren't waiting around for me, right? So I still had growth in my business because if somebody's bringing new people on, and I was still sponsoring, just not as intentional. And the people that wanted it went out and got it. The people that didn't. Okay. So in recap, you have to decide that D has to happen. And you need to ask yourself, have I honestly decided that? Have I honestly decided that no matter what, this is going to be a business for me? No matter what this is going to work for me. And the thing is, we have to know what that is. If you just say it's going to work, what's going to work? And why is it going to work? And how is it going to work? So there's always more you have to break down. So once you know that once you've decided, you have to decide what, when, and how, right? And then, but the delete, delay, diminish, and delegate are going to help you figure that out. The what, when, and how. We've got about 15 minutes, so I'd like to open it up for discussion. If anybody had any ahas, or if you could, any experiences that you could say, this is what's helped me, or this hasn't helped me. It may have nothing to do with the 5Ds, but maybe it's similar, and you could share how it's helped you.
So for me, last year, like everybody was, I work in an office all day. So I had surgery in January. When I was ready to go back to work, they said, no, stay home because of COVID. Great. So now I'm working at home. And then a couple things happened with my dad's health and, and some other certain things. And then my health last month. But what I started talking to myself and just saying, okay, go back to the basics. What did you do in 2018, 2019, where you were successful? And I went back I took a Stephen Covey class, 7 Habits of a Highly Effective Person.
Yes.
So I went back to that because at work, I print out my calendar and I write, all the things I need to do that day. And that's something I didn't do in 2019, 20, excuse me, because my work printer is not set up my work computer is not set up to my home computer. My home printer. And sorry, if y'all don't know, one of the side effects of COVID is that you get brain fog like really bad. So I may be in the middle of a thought until I forget what I want to say. Anyways.
Not lying.
So I started doing that last Thursday. And since last Thursday, I really felt that I was real successful Thursday, Friday, and today at work because I was able to do that. So, and with that being said, and Justin and I have talked about before, and I think I've talked about it on here, is applying what I do at work, applying it to sensing. And I think, did I answer your question? I'm so sorry.
Yes, you did, Cindy. Okay. Yes, you did. That's awesome. No, and that's a big deal because it's funny. Nina and I have been discussing, we're actually going to be getting together and putting together a training of sorts about how to figure out what you already know, like what skills do you already have that you may have done in a past career or the current one that you have, and how can you marry it to your Scentsy business? Because one of the biggest mistakes most consultants do is they separate the two. And you shared with us that you did that for a long time. Like you didn't realize that, okay, this is what I do in my career every day. I can implement that into my business. And it's a natural mistake that people do, because one thing society tells us, don't mix business with pleasure. They think like all these like things that we get put into our brains. And with Scentsy, it's totally opposite, because Scentsy, if you're not mixing your pleasure things with your business, you're not going to have a business, because your business grows in the beginning, especially with the people, your warm market. And if you're not connecting those two, you're going to struggle, because you're starting literally from nothing. Not that it won't eventually happen if you decide that it's going to work and you're willing to do the actions to find new people. But the most important part that really helps people get off to a sensational start is starting with the people they already have relationships with and that they know, trust, and respect them already. And so that's what kind of helps build. And then they'll book parties because they trust you. And then even when you get out of that network of people, there's somebody that's tied you in. So they trust you a little bit more because you book the party off of somebody they know, or somebody like a couple people down that they know them. And so that little bit of trust is already there. And then, accountability. Here's the thing. The hardest thing about this business, guys, hands down, is that we have to be our own accountability. Like, you can ask somebody, which if you have somebody in your life, or if you are comfortable with your sponsor, and if they're willing, you have to ask that. You can't just assume your sponsor is going to do that for you. You have to let them know you want that. But here's the thing. Even the person you're asking to hold you accountable, that's still not going to be enough for you to put in the every day, every week, every month actions that have to happen to grow your business. So you have to be your biggest accountability partner, and you have to evaluate yourself. You have to say, be honest with the ugly things that you don't want to be honest with. So, like I said, do you think it makes me feel good that I sold $3,000 last month and nobody joined? It makes me look back and go, man, that was only that I missed out. And then other people missed out, because if I didn't ask them, they may have been really needed that last month. Maybe they really need Scentsy, and I just chose because I was being selfish, because I wanted to get my sales done and forget about it and have focus just on Christmas. But we have to hold ourselves accountable. And when we're struggling, we have to dig deep and ask ourselves, why are we struggling? Like, when I struggle the most, it's because I'm not doing, specific actions, because they link to results, right? And even though I have a very great foundation and a built business, I still have to be doing the same things you guys are doing. And it's flexible, but there's always going to be a risk that I'm taking if I'm not doing those things, right? Okay. Melissa, do you have anything to share? No?
I could share.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I'm glad that you talked about these Ds, because I think I've been aware of them, but I just never, like when you're aware of something, but you just never like put words to it.
Uh-huh.
So last month, with Christmas and everything, like my sales have been phenomenal the last couple of months. And last month I got really, really overwhelmed. And so I knew that I needed to make a decision with like what I was going to delegate and diminish or just delete for the month. And it was my monthly mailer. And so I learned this month, like long story short, I learned this month deleting my monthly mailer from last month affected my sales for this month. And so like Becca, like you always say, and Becca says, you don't have to be perfect to be powerful. Like I wasn't perfect and I deleted something that maybe I shouldn't have, but it gave me that peace of mind that I needed. I was struggling last month. I just my monthly mailer is basically like it's just like a rack card that I make, and Michelle helped me put it together. And I just put on there like the scent of the month and all those things. And at the very bottom, I had chosen to do a monthly mixer so that I could put in 2 samples of the month, or 2 samples for that month of that mixer to get more scents under people's noses. And I had accidentally sold the 2 bars that I needed to make those mixers.
Oh.
And then I procrastinated and I didn't order them when I should have. And then I just kept putting it off like later and later throughout the month. And then I was like, like, shoot, I need to get these out. And I didn't. I was like, I'm going to step away from it because, everything was done. I just couldn't make the samples. And I was like, so this month I'm suffering for it. But I know now that, it's a learning thing. Like, you don't have to be perfect. You just do what you do. And it's like you said, it's like online college. Like you said, we're responsible for what we do and what we don't do. And if I had just decided, well, now this month, my sales are not that great, and I just give up, like that's not like it's like you said, you have to decide, are you in this?
Mm-hmm.
And even though I messed up, my sales weren't great for the end of the month last month, and they're definitely not great this month, but I'm not going to give up because of that. I'm going to learn from it and move on. And these Ds are exactly it. You have to decide every single month. You have to decide every single time you like falter, every single time something doesn't go your way, or every single time that person doesn't join, or that person that joins and then they leave you high and dry or whatever. Like you have to decide in that moment. And that's why your why is important, because that helps you to decide if your why is strong enough. So anyway.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. That's great, great, great information. It's so true. You know, people say, you know, if your why doesn't make you cry, it's not strong enough. And it's different for every person. I'd say that's majority. That is that is the case. You have to know why you're doing things, and because that's going to help you get through the emotional parts of this business that really affect you. And it makes you just, it helps you be able to commit to that decision you made and say, okay, well, why am I doing this? Because right now I feel like crap and I want to just quit, right? Because there's never going to be a point in your business that you're never going to struggle in some area, because your business is your world, right? It's your home, it's your family, it's the people you deal with on a regular basis. And so there's no separation, or at least there shouldn't be. And that's a hard thing, because that's why they say don't mix business with pleasure, because then there's always something to like that struggles, or there's always quarrels or whatever, misunderstandings. But when you learn to be able to marry them together and then be able to say, well, this is why I struggled this year. And I don't know what just happened. Something just popped up on my screen. And know that there's always a reason why it didn't work out the way you'd liked it to, or there's a reason why you're struggling. A lot of people end up quitting because they don't want the reality. They don't want to face what they didn't do. Because here's the thing, that's why this business is hard for some people, because it's so easy to blame other people. It's easy to say, well, my boss didn't tell me to do that this month, that's why I didn't do it. Or my husband, is mean to me, so this is why this didn't happen, or whatever. But unfortunately, you're the only one that is responsible for your business, and you're the only one to blame. And so once we get over that and accept that this didn't happen because I chose not to do it, or I didn't plan my time out right, or whatever, like you said, if you're able to suck that up and digest it and be okay with it, so maybe it's decide then digest, because you have to be able to accept your decisions. Like I said, I accepted my decisions last month. It doesn't mean that it wasn't a good decision. I mean, it doesn't mean it was a good decision, because if I did, I asked everybody last month, I could have had a $3,000 month and new people coming on, and possibly, who knows, there's people that join 1 month, and like I went straight to star when I joined. I could have had a new star consultant possibly on my team. Who knows, right? But it speaks to my heart. Oh, okay, so it doesn't make her cry. So yeah, everybody's different. Like for me, I have to really dig deep now to remember why I do things, because the reasons why I joined and the reasons why I pushed through the first few years of my business were very, very strong, and they made me cry. But now I really have to dig deep, because there's really no area that I'm hurting, if that makes sense. Like I'm not I don't have enough hunger anymore, so I have to really figure out every month, why am I doing this? Yes, I accomplished my original goal, and so you have to find out what your next goal is. What's my next level? I have it, and like for me, I want to be paid at title. I haven't been paid at title since I promoted to superstar director, because the 2 people that promoted, or 3 people that promoted all in the same month, only one of them is still a director, and the other 2 never wanted to be a director again. And Nina just promoted in September, so after 4 years, I finally got a third director in my front line. So, but I have to ask myself, why do I want that 4th director? Where is that money that's going to open up that money that I don't have right now? Where is that going to go? And how is it really going to impact my life? Because if I'm doing okay, like financially, I'm not hurting for anything. If I don't really know where that extra money is going to go, I'm never going to really do my best to really work with people and try to help them get to director. Because if they're not coming to me saying, I'm hurting, I really want to become a director, I could easily just kick back and not do anything, right? And not reach out to people and kind of figure out what they want and figure out who needs to, I need to work with to find that other director. You have to apply what you have learned, realize to your daily flow in your business. Yes, absolutely. That's the thing is it's deciding, but it's also really seeing your business as a business. Because somebody I just heard this earlier, I don't know where I got it, but I actually do know where I got it. Let me look it up. Okay, it says, okay, Sensi hours are flexible, not optional. So if you commit consistently, you will see your business grow. And so that's the thing, is you have to delete that word out of your brain, is optional. Because when you tell yourself it's okay that you didn't do something, it's going to be easier to continue to do that, right? And say, I didn't sponsor any this month. It's okay. I didn't hit my goals, whatever. So if you always are telling yourself that those actions are optional, then are you going to be doing the actions that need to happen to commit to make them happen? No, because you're telling yourself you don't need to get them done. You're telling them, if it works out, great. If not, whatever, you're not taking your business in your own hands. So, again, your business is flexible, but it's not optional of the things that need to happen. So, and so like I did, I had to accept the consequences of people that could have possibly joined my team last month, right? All right. Nina, do you have anything to share, add? She might be putting the baby down. All right. Well, I hope that if you're getting this, you're watching the recording and you are looking from the email or from our units, I'd love to hear from you guys of how you implemented the 5 Ds into your business. I don't know what BF means. I don't know what that means. Oh, do you know, like clicked in my brain. I'm like, does that mean, right when you said it? Okay, sorry. Okay, so anyways, I'd love to hear how you implemented these 5 Ds into your business. If you need help doing them, I'm happy to support you with that and set up a meeting with me, and we could break down your business together of what your actions are, what you've been doing, because that's what I can't, or your sponsor, your director, or myself can't help you if we don't know what you're already doing. So we'll ask you questions and then we'll break it down and see where you're maybe there's one action you're not doing that you don't realize is a very important action that leads to everything else. So I would definitely suggest to get with your sponsor or director. And there's a business analysis that you could go through with your specific business that's on your workstation, and we could really identify where your strengths are, where in your business you're struggling, where your growth is, where you haven't grown, things like that, and we can break down what actions aren't happening. And it's all a formula, guys. It's not as hard as we think. It's just a matter of doing those actions. They're very specific actions and that make a difference in your business. All right. Well, thank you, ladies, for sharing on this call and popping on live with me. I appreciate it. Oh yeah. So Nina has I'm going to share this with you guys. She sent me this. She sends this to her team members when they join. It's super cute. And I'm actually going to be adding, because Nina did this, just so you know, Nina, it inspired me. I'm going to be adding a little key as well to my welcome packets as well, because I think this is a very important, yeah. See, you learn from your own team members. That's what the cool part is. You don't have to have all the skills. You don't have to be creative. You don't have to be the one that figures things out. When you're a team, you get to be inspired and learn ideas and strategies that you never would have thought of. So it's really an asset to have a team. Honestly, you don't have to be the only one trying to figure things out. Thank you, Neens. Okay, so it says this is the key. As the owner of a shop, you would have to take this key each day and insert it in the lock in the front door in order for your business to grow. As the owner of your Scentsy family business, it is no different. Each day, you need to open your shop with a key. Each day, you must work in that shop and let customers know you are open for business. What happens with your business is up to you. No one else has a key to your shop. Only you can open the door and step inside. If you do this each day, your business will grow. Your business hours are flexible, not optional. It's up to you that what hours you're open. This is the key. I forgot that part was in here too. This was from somebody else that I saw on the Superstar Director page, because she started putting keys, and I'll tell you, it's very similar. It's not as long though. It says, congratulations on your new business. Here is your new key. This is your new business key and only you can use it. So it's very similar. You get to decide when, oh, this is basically the same thing. Oh, she put it, if you treat it like a business, it will pay you like a business. If you treat it like a hobby, it'll pay you like a hobby. It says there's also a bottle opener for when times get tough and there's a hurdle to face. Rest, don't quit. So I probably personally wouldn't add that part because I'm not one for to encourage people to drink, but that's her styles, which is cute. You already took the first step into starting, and you get to determine the results based on your level of commitment. I like that. Glug, glug. I'm here for you all along the way, and I can't wait to watch you grow. Congrats on your first step. So yeah, there's so many like ideas from other people. So I'm probably just gonna marry this with this a little bit, and this is pretty much what I'm just going to be sending these to my frontline because I know Nina already sends these, so I'm not going to duplicate what she's already giving them, right? My team members, personal team members. Okay, so we went over again. I'm sorry, guys. So moving forward, we're going to be having the focus be on whatever is trained on the Tuesday all consultant call. If you don't know what that is, you register in your training center, and there is a Tuesday Zoom at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so you can figure out what that figures out to you for your time zone. And if you can't be on live, then just figure out a day and time that you commit to listening to that training call. And what you're doing is you are committing to your business at least once a week to training your business. And then Mondays are going to be us getting together and hacking it out, talking about it, experiences, fears, whatever it is, and how we're implementing it into our business. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. If nobody's told you they love you today, I love you, and I always will. Bye.